The man looked at the woman and smiled. Yet, you still don't know where they are located, do you? Who is this protagonist? Why am I listening to him? Who is this woman? This leads to a flood of questions, and only by taking action can you resolve these doubts. Your focus shifts, becoming more attentive and engaged. So more or less conventional. Next, we discuss endings. There are closed endings and open endings to consider. Closed endings are when the plot is completely wrapped up. What does that mean? Doubts, for example, in the case of the detective movie we talked about, the case is solved, for better or worse, but we already have a result. On the other hand, open endings are when, at the last minute, a new twist opens up in the movie, and then we are left wondering what will happen. What are those types of endings good for? If we do it for a very conventional movie, it won't work for us. However, when considering a series structure, it's crucial. Why can't you stop watching a series? Because just as it concludes, a new twist emerges, keeping you hooked and eager to see what unfolds next. A plot twist emerges, and you're eager to see its resolution. In just one day, you might binge-watch 8 episodes non-stop, driven by the need to see how each twist unfolds and resolves, keeping you captivated. If the series had a closed ending, you could turn it off and say, I'll watch the next episode in a month. Why? Because I am certain of the journey my beloved protagonist will take. I feel a deep connection to him, almost as if he were my own brother, making the wait worthwhile. So, we have another thing that serves for narrative and cinema that is very important, and that is to say, I can have an idea for a story, right? And that story has a clear beginning and end. But then I have to think, do I want to tell it in the chronological order in which the action happens? That is, Hansel and Gretel are left in the forest. They wander, discover a house in the woods. Chocolate? Or should I dive into the movie set in the chocolate house right away? This decision is made once you have the chronological order of your story, which I always recommend. Avoid entangling your movie's timeline until the end. It's crucial to maintain clarity in the narrative structure. Always keep it clear from start to finish. When you have the chronological order of your story, you have to decide how to deliver it to the viewer. And that can change our structure a bit, our order of scenes. And that has to do with the temporal order of a movie. Both in narrative and screenwriting, we can utilize this model. This timeline marks the start and end of our story, providing a clear framework for our narrative. And we can think, the story is told from in ovo in media res, or from the end. In medias res is from the egg. We have to understand that this is something we could argue and say, well, all the movies need a setup before the characters are introduced naturally, as they were born into their roles and stories unfold gradually. Progress through various phases to arrive at the point where they are essential. This doesn't refer to their birth or origin, but rather the beginning of their involvement in the narrative. For instance, our short film focuses on a journey's planning phase. It captures the anticipation and preparation leading up to in medias res, where our characters face significant challenges during their expedition. And the end is the resolution of that journey. What do they reach? Do they arrive at the place they were going? What adventures did they have to live? What did our protagonist learn from that journey? You might start narrating from the journey's planning phase, or when 3 friends unexpectedly appear on the road, marking a pivotal moment in the story. Or from the end. Let's think about movies we've seen that can help us understand better how it works. In medias res is the classic of cinema, where the action has already started. And in fact, generally, when you're writing cinema, the more experience you have, you already know that the first scenes of the movie will never reach the end. They are scenes to explain the universe to yourself, to get to know the characters. But in reality, the action starts after what you think. And as you need, to grab the viewer's attention from the start, it's best to open with a scene that sparks curiosity and keeps them engaged throughout the film. Instead of merely telling the narrative, the goal is to immerse the audience in an experience where they can live through the story rather than just observing it, a significant shift when considering storytelling techniques. In medias res, think of Star Wars, because even though we have this beautiful text that starts diagonally and grows on the screen, telling us a bit about the origin of this world, the war has already started when we arrive, and the forces are already in conflict acting, and little by little, you understand what this world is, what forces govern it, what is being fought against, who is the protagonist. You have to follow the action. Ultimately, we can use Memento as an example. Memento begins at the end and consistently works backward to the start to make sense of the film. It provides us with clues to piece together the story and understand its progression. What is the origin of this story? But in reality, almost all the events of the movie have already happened. It's as if you said, I'm going to rewrite Little Red Riding Hood and make an animated version. However, I'll begin when the woodcutter is already cutting open the stomach, revealing the grandmother inside. From the wolf's stomach, we would all glance at each other in the cinema, wondering, what just happened? Why? Then, suddenly, explanations began to unfold, and it all started making sense. Oh, now I understand. Little Red Riding Hood went into the forest, chose the wrong path, didn't listen to her grandmother, etc., etc. So, movies typically don't begin at the very start, but if you provide us with the background, we can better understand the unfolding story. How so? As soon as I sit in the cinema, the movie begins. Picture the opening scene. A man rings a doorbell at a house. This sets the stage for the unfolding story. Right? And he's going to announce to a lady that her son died in the war. It appeared that when I sat down, the movie had already begun. In the seat, the movie started, and I already have the background. She is the lady. She will be my protagonist. Her son died. Perfect. Okay, let's continue with this story. Let's imagine another scenario. There's a man running down an alley. We don't understand where he is. What is he running from? Suddenly he reaches a place that is abandoned. He sits, agitated, observing. What you see are mere shadows. One asks, are they soldiers? What's happening? It's as if we showed up after the action began. The movie is already playing, and we missed the start. Now we must piece together the unfolding events. It's crucial to ponder what emotions and starting points fit this scenario. How do we align ourselves with the narrative and grasp the unfolding story? We're just beginning to shape the story. I envision a scene reminiscent of my film In Medias Res, where events unfold rapidly, engaging the audience. I think that my protagonist character arrives at that campsite. The main focus is on that vacation spot. Who accompanies them? I need to decide, and I believe I'll choose just one more character, the mother. This decision shapes the story. I don't want to have thousands of characters. I want her to be as alone as possible. Think about your movie and think about what feeling you want to give the viewer from the start. Has the action already started, or does it start with them when they sit in the seat? Something fundamental. Is that always when we start writing a script outline, we will do it chronologically? I am certain that the opening scene of my short film should depict Claudia arriving with her family, whoever they may be, at a campsite. This will serve as the film's starting point since it's where the main action unfolds. It's crucial to establish this setting as it frames the narrative and sets the tone for the unfolding events. That doesn't mean that in later versions I decide that it will be after the beginning of the short film. But what interests me is having the complete chronology of what is necessary to tell the movie I want to tell. And that has to be in chronological order, because if not, we will add a difficulty.